Yushinoka interview data.
I'm fine, thank you very much. I'm having a wonderful day. I started my training in karate as a young child. However, I then went to the Bujinkan dojo, so Budo Ninpo Taijutsu, and I studied that under Shidoshi Stephen Powell. Now, through Shidoshi Stephen Powell, I met the 15th Dan, Dennis Bartram. And this is where really it took a different turn for me. We studied body dynamics, movement, muscle structure, the bone structure, how to destroy a body. So I wouldn't say it was actually a style of any form. We just integrated our knowledge of the body into destruction. There was a lot of emphasis on healing, however, at the time when I was young and just wanted to hurt things, I didn't really study the medicine side. But we studied how to damage the human body. Okay, what is a true martial artist? I think people misunderstand the difference between true martial artist and sports martial artist and enlightenment seeker. Now, a true martial artist is a person who dedicates his life to the ability to understanding how to kill. Anybody can fight. You can go into the street, you can pick on a hard lad with a skinhead and he'll fight you and possibly win. They go around fighting, they're not martial artists, so fighting is not martial arts. Martial arts is understanding how to destroy a human being as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Anything else is a sport. The most important thing in martial arts is reality. Now, I'm not talking about what the MMA people talk about and like you've got to grapple hard. You've got to come up with what is real. You're going to be knifed, or you might have a brick put on your head. You have to not be the fat man rolling around. You have to be the guy who can take a punch, give a punch, and who understands how to destroy the body as quickly as possible. The reality of martial arts is you may die. It's okay having a fist fight in a bar, it's okay having a scrap in a ring, but real martial artists come into their own when somebody jumps on them with a knife. And on top of that, I've translated a lot of samurai documents, and one of the key things they say about being a samurai is die well. If you really go into battle as though you're going to die, you usually win. So mental training, above all, is everything in the martial arts. It doesn't matter how big you are or small, even if you're fat or thin, you know, or you're bulky. The main thing is mental perseverance. I've had quite a lot of fights in my life, but most of them were based on my karate from my earlier days. I've had a couple of scuffs since then, but generally my favourite story is the McDonald's story. I was in a rough area in Salford and just going out of McDonald's, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and some guy just basically started a fight, came at me, and didn't take much, just generally get inside of his guard, and I had my fingers inside of his eyes, and I pushed inside of his eyes, and I held him over the counter, and I could feel his eyes were about to pop actually. So I had to stop, but I presume this guy was on drugs because he kept coming back, so in I went with a few digs. This is before my Budo Taijutsu training, so it was more karate. So I was smashing him in the face, and I had his eye, I put my fingers back in his eyes, and he was really, really going to pop. So I had to throw him, and I threw him to the floor, and then we left, and he just sort of shouted abuse. So that's one of my less interesting fights, but I think the more realistic, because others were just generally brawls. That one, that guy wanted to really do me some damage, but he didn't. I don't think he woke up very well the next morning, or I don't know if he could see again, I'm not sure. I think this is a ridiculous question, to be honest. Style is irrelevant. If you are strong, you have core strength, you have dedication, and you go forward into battle and you're going to kill the other man. It doesn't matter on style. It's about how far you go through. Style is very good and style is excellent, but nobody in history... Julius Caesar never said, oh, look at those silly Celts. They're not very hard. You know, the pagans... the Christians never said, oh, look, their Viking technique is a little off. Their foot is in the wrong position. All warriors throughout history were deemed as superb warriors, irrelevant of style. So this is my message to any martial artists out there. If you're doing a style and you like it, you stick with it. You just make sure it's real. And you make sure in your mind you kill the man opposite you. So I'm originally from Oldham, in Manchester, Salford End, things like that. It's a bit rough. And yeah, I would say realistically where I came from affected my martial arts style. You can't really... It's not a mega dangerous area, but it's not a, it's not a safe area. You've got to be careful when you walk around at night, and your stuff's got to work. It's got to work, and I've had plenty of fights in my life, and it works. I've never lost one yet. Well, there was a time it was 8 of them, and they sort of had me on the floor beating me, but I got up and chased them. But there was quite a few. But so yeah, round here, you've got to know what you're doing. The highest point in martial arts for me was training in the woods at night with my Shidoshi Stephen Powell, a very, very hard man. And we used to go training at night. This is when I believed the ninja taijutsu was real. And we trained next to Lim Dam, which is like a form of dam/lake. And there we would do blindfold training, some fire training. A group of us doing Budo, Ninpo, Taijutsu. And we really enjoyed them times. We used to go into the woods, go into lakes, rivers, fields. And at winter we'd stay in his front room and learn Amatsu Tatara. It was good fun. That was my highest point. My lowest point of martial arts was actually going to the Hombu, Bujikan Hombu in Japan. I thought it was the most ridiculous thing in the world. I never ever took a photograph of me in the Hombu because I've seen so many fat people getting their photographs taken with Hatsumi like he was a superstar or it was Tom Cruise. I find that cringeworthy and embarrassing. So the Bujikan year I spent... The Genbukan was a bit better, but the year in Bujikan was probably the worst martial arts training I've ever seen. So number 9, MMA versus traditional martial arts. This is a pet hate of mine. I think MMA is too confident. They teach things that are ridiculously don't work, like opening your legs when somebody grabs you. Have you ever had a knife in the testicles? Yep, you don't open your legs to anyone. So, and they wrestle around on the floor, which is all very good, and they're very hard men, but it takes one knife and you're done. That's why knife fighting is so dangerous. It takes 2 people and you're done. I've been in a ground fight. Like I said, I had the 8 men came at me. It was a mistaken identity, actually. They thought I was someone else, and they all jumped me out of a car, and they were stamping on my head, stamping on my coccyx, and everything. I had to get up and start hitting them. And if one of them had have had a knife, I'd have been dead. No problem, dead. So traditional martial artists need to realise they need to get their head a bit more realistic, and they need to put some more training and stop being so floppy. And traditional martial artists need to realise that they're not kings of the world, and knife will end everything. Martial arts means everything to me, but more and more recently I've gone more into the history of martial arts. Every child should learn martial arts, every man should learn how to fight. It is ridiculous that we don't teach this daily. So I think everyone out there, if you're listening to this, get to a traditional martial arts club. If it's not very good or not very strong, get to another one. Find one where you know it would work. And remember, it's not, does traditional martial arts work? Of course they do. They came from the samurai, they came from knights, they came from Vikings, that type of things. What is, the question is, can you make it work? Is there a difference between a martial artist and a warrior? That is a superb question. A martial artist is someone who learns how to kill with his hands and with weapons. A warrior is someone who dedicates his life to fighting, and it's their profession. Not to be mistaken with professional soldier. A warrior is someone who spends his life in the martial arts. You will find very few warriors today. Most are professional soldiers, mercenaries, things like that. Maybe the warrior is a thing of the pages of history, but that doesn't mean we can't take forward the warrior ethos into the next world. This is time for change now, in the next generation. We really need to look back and realise that some of the masters of the past actually had something good to say. I hope you enjoyed that. I look forward to any comments on this video, and good luck with any of your training. My name's Antony Cummins. Goodbye.
Yushinoka, nervy update.